Today is November 19th, and we're a couple more days until the Orange Army hits the fields and forests of Wisconsin. And I'm out in one of my better listings that I really haven't had a lot of action on, I'm afraid, but I still think it's a good property. This is the Dunn County 238, and I'm going to get out here. We're going to do a little trail camera survey. I got 5 cameras that I'm going to put out on this 238 acres, and we're going to see what the Orange Army moves around. So I'm in the middle of this field here. This is part of about 83 acres of tillable land that's on this property. All the land goes south. There's about 540s going this way. There's a hillside up here that I haven't been into. We're going to take a look. So I'm going to show you this property. I'm going to hang some cameras, and then hopefully after the deer hunt, I'll come back and we'll get some good pictures of what's here. So come along for the tour. Thanks for joining me. One of the cool things about this property is these little hidden fields. So here's probably a 3 or 4 acre cornfield, not planted this year, but this would be a fantastic food plot. There's a trail crossing coming across a creek right here, heading up to, I'm sure, which is bedding area. This could be a great food plot for hunting. It would also be a great spot to build a house. I'm gonna get a camera here. I see a lot of tracks coming into this old field. We're gonna put a camera on this spot. I get a lot of questions when I'm pricing properties of how do I determine a value, because the truth is it's pretty difficult actually. There's not a lot of comparables for the properties I list, but here's one of the things I look for. So I like these blank slate properties where I could come in, or a buyer could come in and he could make it his own. This is not managed. There are some trails, there's some fields as you can see, but there hasn't been a whole lot of work done with this. There's no building sites, there's no buildings, and that's always a plus. But here's the opportunity. So here I am on a potential building site. It slopes off. There's a road up top there that you could see. And there's a couple fields here. Pretty easy access off of this, not real wet. There's a little bit of a creek, but simple culvert. You could come in here and put a culvert in, put a driveway in, build a beautiful spot up here, or maybe even stay closer to the road and stay on the north end of this property. You'll have the entire property, 238 acres to hunt. So this is an opportunity. These are things I like to see. I always try to make a point of it when I'm showing these properties. This is a real benefit. And you know, where I'm at, we're only about a half hour to Menominee. So this is a great location. You can commute into the Eau Claire area, Menominee Eau Claire area, really fast growing area of the state. Just a good looking opportunity to build your dream home. I tell you, what I won't do to try to film a property. I'm crawling under a fence here. Come on, Lucy. This property has some really nice timber. It was cut maybe 30 years ago, but you can still see some really good trees to get into. This would be a great spot right here for a box blind stand. So Lucy, although she doesn't chase deer, she knows how to find them. We came up on top of this ridge and we found this huge buck bed. That's massive, and no wonder. We're on a little knob right here. You can see how the terrain falls off. It's really thick on that side. It's open on this side. He's able to sit here, look downhill. He could see and hear what's coming up from that end, and definitely nothing could sneak up from this end. And there's a military crest right there. He only has 15 yards and he's gone. Just a great strategic location. I find these a lot. You know, if you listen to the woods, it'll tell you what's going on and you just sit here and observe. But here's a bed here, and this is that location where I said that buck bed was. And then the bigger bed is right back here, that other brown spot. I'm guaranteeing this is a doe, and that was the buck, and they were hanging out here. He's locked down with her, and this is their resting spot. So I'm gonna put a camera on this spot just on a hunch, see if I can't catch other deer using this location, because strategically it's a good spot. But that's definitely a buck and a doe bed locked down, no doubt. Okay, so here's another spot I like. This is a crop field right out here. It's really foggy, you can't tell it, but That white is a cornfield. This is an inside edge right here. They're coming around this corner. There's a trail that goes down into the thick stuff, and I've got a camera on this tree right here. We're gonna capture on these inside corners. It's a great spot to put a camera. When I'm hiding them on these properties, I like to get them off the beaten path so guys that are walking the main trails can't see them, but this should capture some deer. We're gonna see what happens. So I'm up on the top side of the property, and this is the biggest field. There's about 83 acres of tillable field. This was in soybean last year. There's a couple access trails I've seen coming up from the bottom, and I always tell people that the rent that you get from these properties is usually year to year. Very rarely do I find a recurring year after year. I always tell people to calculate, on average, be conservative, $100 an acre. I'm not exactly sure what Dunn County brings in this area. I'm thinking a little bit more, maybe 125, 150. But that would be between you as landowner and the farmers. You work out a deal, and maybe he would leave you some standing crops if you give him a cut on the deal. But a little bit of income, help pay for your property. Okay, here's another predictable bedding spot. So you got the food source right here. These does are coming in. There's one here. There's one over here. And you got to ask yourself, why are they bedding here? And I'll show you why. There's a third. This is a little doe group. There's a third. The reason being is it's right on the edge of this military crest. And as you come down here and get a little closer, you can see the escape route if they need it. Nothing is coming up in front of them. And man, I tell you what, they can boogie out of here in a hurry and they are gone. So find these little out points like this. You know they're bedding on these spots. Okay, here's an example of a very subtle terrain feature, pinch point. So up on top here, right up there, 30 yards up top, that's a cornfield. And there's a corner there. Comes left, 90-degree angle. And then this point here drops off, and then it drops off into this valley. So what's happening is these deer are traversing from this other valley where there's another ridge that comes down right here. There's one that comes down here. It all meets right here. They transfer over and they're coming up this trail and they're cutting the corner of that cornfield, and then it flattens off up the way again. So really easy access point. Northwest, west wind's gonna blow your scent right off into the field. This would be a fantastic ambush site. Sneak in here quiet, wind is gone, they're never gonna know you're here. You gotta put these in the mental bank, and this is what you gotta find. This property just goes on and on. So here's a valley here, really nice ridge up on top, and goes down into the valley here. It hunts big. I've been on this property now 2 or 3 times. I'm still not seeing it all. I'm trying to do my best in these videos, guys, but I want you to get the message that this is big, it hunts big, 238 acres, and it's gorgeous. You've heard me talk about stem count lately, and I definitely think that's important, but I love to come into these hardwoods and see trees like this. Great tree stand trees. Get up in that wedge up there. You're out on the end of a point here. A couple other big ones here. And it's fairly open in here, but I'm sure they're coming in here bedding on these points. They're always a good place to check. And I see a trail going right down through there. Man, it looks good back in here. Okay guys, well that's the end of this tour. Hey, we're We're just north of Knapp, Wisconsin in Dunn County, 238 acres. This is for sale at my website, whitetailproperties.com. Click on Dunn County. Just a beautiful property, and you just don't find many of these this close to Menominee, Eau Claire. Just a great location, hidden valleys. It hunts big. There's agricultural, timber, there's trails, there's coulees, there's points. Just looks great. Hey, I'd like to show you this property and have you come out for a personal tour with me. If you're interested, then give me a call. I'm land specialist Neil Hogger with Whitetail Properties Real Estate. I really appreciate it if you'll go to my YouTube channel and subscribe, get these notifications when they come up, and thanks for following me on Facebook. We'll talk to you later. Come on, Lucy. Come on.